All right, you guys, welcome back into another One Piece discussion video. Today, we are here to talk about the Blackbeard pirates here on Egghead Island. So if you watched the last discussion video, then you know that I said that I would make a video on Shanks and Elbaf or Kid and Law next, but I straight up lied to you because today, like I said, we're here to talk about Blackbeard. And the reason why is because without fail, every single week, every single video, someone will comment, "Sai, don't forget, the Blackbeard pirates are off the coast," you know? It's like the boogeyman in a weird way, right? Like, every week, no matter what happens, we could be on a different island, right? We could be in the Kuma flashback, and somebody's gonna say, hey guys, don't forget, Blackbeard's off the coast, right? You know, people are excited for Blackbeard to show up here, and I am as well. Don't get me wrong. I'm not bashing the people who keep on bringing it up, but I just think it's funny how Oda has done this time and time again, right? I don't know if you guys were around during the time skip era when that was going on weekly, but after the time skip happened, there wasn't a week that went by where somebody said, "Hey, don't forget guys, Luffy has Conqueror's Haki and he trained with Rayleigh. Any minute now we're gonna see something crazy." And then obviously we got to Fisherman Island and then he knocked out 50,000 people, but we had to wait a while, right? We had to go through the entire Fisherman Island arc. We had to wait through the Otohime flashback to get that crazy Conqueror's Haki reveal. It's the same way here with Blackbeard. It's no different. Even though Oda showed us the Blackbeard pirates off the coast about 25 chapters ago, we're still waiting for them, and we're gonna be waiting for quite some time in my opinion. All right, so I'm getting a little bit carried away, but today's video is all about the Blackbeard pirates and what they could do here on Egghead Island. What could they be after? Are they involved in the big incident? Who's even here? And all that good stuff. We're gonna go over more or less all the possibilities I could think of at a moment's notice and just talk about them, right? There are no right or wrong answers here. We're just kind of throwing guesses at the wind and having a general discussion. So I think the best way to start this off is to talk about who's actually here. So in my opinion, I don't think Blackbeard is actually here. Like, Marshall D. Teach, I do not consider him in the proximity, but I see a lot of people saying that he could be here because of Van Augur. Van Augur has the warp fruit, so that man can teleport certain distances. We don't really know the limits to it yet, but there's a good chance that he could teleport Blackbeard from Winter's Island, where he fought Law, all the way here to Egghead Island. Because we do know that, obviously, the log pose pointed at 3 different islands, and Egghead Island, as well as Winter's Island, aren't exactly super far off. So if Van Augur is at least decent with this fruit, he could possibly teleport himself, Blackbeard, and their ship off the coast. It's not that crazy to imagine. I don't subscribe to this notion, mainly because I think Blackbeard is too beat up after his fight with Law to actually want to come here into another war, right? Oh, I just beat Law, I'm bleeding from the head, my crew's kind of beaten as well, let's go fight Luffy and Saint Saturn. I don't think that's the case personally, but I see a lot of people talk about this idea, and I don't want to dismiss it outright, so let's talk about Blackbeard. Let's talk about what Marshall D. Teach can actually do here on Egghead Island. Before we go on though, I just want to tell you guys about the sponsor of today's video, Skillshare. I'm sure you guys have all heard about Skillshare before. It's a platform that makes learning easy and engaging. And not to mention, but it has courses on pretty much anything you could ever think of. They have photography classes, animation classes, and even career-related classes as well. If you're considering picking up Skillshare for the new year, which is a great idea, and you're not too sure where to start, Skillshare has a designated learning path to help you get from novice to pro in no time. Learning paths are hand-picked classes meant to be taken in order. That way, you know the next step of your journey, and it'll really help you hone and sharpen your skills. And the best part is, there are a wide array of classes for any experience level out there. They have classes on design, productivity, creative freelancing, and tools and softwares like Procreate and Blender. Skillshare's learning path just makes learning that much easier. With all these classes and more, Skillshare really is the perfect place for anyone to pick up a new skill and learn. And the best part is, you can pick up and learn any and all of these skills whenever you want by using the link down below, because Skillshare has an awesome offer for today's video, where the first 500 people who click the link in the description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. And that 1 month is more than enough time to pick up a couple new skills. So why not be one of the first 500 people to click that link down below and join the Skillshare community. Personally, the learning path that I've been picking up recently is how to expand my cooking skills and how to prepare dishes with style. I know this class seems kind of out of left field for myself, but I'm actually such a huge fan of cooking, and thanks to Skillshare's learning path, it makes learning how to cook that much easier. So again, click the link down in the description below, and if you're one of the first 500 people, you will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Thank you, Skillshare, for sponsoring this video. So if you were to ask me about 2 years ago whether or not Blackbeard is the type of guy that would show up before a party, during a party, or after a party, I would say Blackbeard is the type of guy that would show up afterwards. He would show up afterwards, he would open all the presents and steal everything he can. That's just the kind of guy he is. We saw that at Marineford. He showed up right when Whitebeard was about to already die, just to finish him off and steal his devil fruit. Blackbeard isn't exactly a clean fighter. He never is touted to be a clean fighter. He is a pirate through and through. He is just there for the rewards. But the reason I said 2 years ago I would have said that is because in this past saga, Blackbeard has been pretty damn proactive. We saw him storm into Amazon Lily while the Amazonians are fighting the Marines. We saw him waiting for law. We saw him actively plotting out which course the worst generation would go so that he could be there ready to take them on. Blackbeard has been, he's been making moves. So while originally I would think that Blackbeard would wait till the end of Luffy and Saturn's fight to swoop in and take whatever he wants, I'm more inclined to believe that if Blackbeard were actually here, he would show up and cause more chaos, right? Instead of Luffy versus Saturn, it would turn into Luffy versus Saturn versus Blackbeard. Blackbeard is that much of a wild card. But that hasn't happened yet. Whatever Blackbeard and his crew have in mind, it's not that. They don't want to cause turmoil. And we can see that clearly because the Marines have already infiltrated Egghead Island. Saturn is already fighting. 30,000 Marines, the 9 VAs, Admiral Kizaru, they're all here. But Blackbeard isn't. And the reason why I think that is something to take note of is because we saw Blackbeard's ship off the coast of Egghead Island well before the Marines even showed up. We knew the Marines were coming, but guess who came quicker? It was Blackbeard. He was a 2-pump chump. He was already there. So that is why every chapter that comes out, I'm not looking for Blackbeard. I'm not going into the next chapter of One Piece expecting to see Blackbeard. Because if they wanted to make their move, in my opinion, they already would have. So by them not being here already, even though they're so close, and the fact that no Marines, you gotta imagine, this is Egghead Island. The Marines came from all around the world, right? They have an encirclement around the island, and not a single person has said, hey, I see Blackbeard's ship. Oh my god, that is Marshal D. Teach. Oh wow, that is Titanic Commander Lafitte. Nobody said that. 30,000 Marines, sure, they're fodder. No observation hockey, cool. John Marine A, John Marine B, yeah, sure, they don't see the Blackbeard pirates. That is fine by me. 9 Vice Admirals, I feel like they would have seen it. Saint Saturn, he might have seen it through his window. And then we have Admiral Kizaru, who, we don't know if he has observation hockey confirmed or not, but I'd be amiss if Admiral Kizaru doesn't have it, at least to a decent level, right? So if the Blackbeard pirates were still nearby, I feel like somebody would have said something. So the fact that nobody has makes me think that the Blackbeard pirates are either A, waiting until the battle is over to actually do something, or B, they are straight up just not here anymore. And I believe that B is going to be the right option, where we're going to see the Blackbeard pirates and they're nowhere near Egghead Island anymore. But I know that's not a popular opinion. I'm kind of alone when I say that. So I do want to focus on A first. Let's say the Blackbeard pirates show up at the end of Egghead Island. What are they going to do? What are they here for? And I got to be honest, this is kind of a hard one to answer, mainly because we don't know how this island is going to end up quite yet. We all like to believe that Luffy is going to win, right? Gear 5th Luffy, the Sun God, we got Kuma, Bonnie, we have a lot of allies here. Us losing seems out of the question almost. So I want to go in with the mindset that Luffy has either incapacitated Saint Saturn or at least beat him away, right? He beat Saint Saturn off and Saint Saturn is in the corner somewhere, right? Let's just imagine that scenario. Luffy's about to leave the island. Boom, Blackbeard and his crew shows up. what is the outcome here? What would Blackbeard want out of this island? I think that's pretty damn obvious. You know, no offense, right? If you had no clue, you know, I'm sorry to say it, but I feel like Blackbeard, being the type of character he is, someone who always wants more knowledge or leverage in the world, I feel like Egghead Island has all the wealth Blackbeard could ever want, because it has Vegapunk, it has Punk Records, and hey, even if, you know, Punk Records is destroyed, even if Vegapunk is like, I don't want to talk to you, Blackbeard has Pudding. You know, like Pudding could easily just open Vegapunk's head and just peel back the apple, right? We can easily get all of Vegapunk's memories now that Blackbeard has Pudding in his arsenal. So yeah, Vegapunk, Punk Records, huge for Blackbeard. Capturing them shouldn't be super hard either if Luffy and his crew have just fought a big battle against Kizaru, Lucci, and Saint Saturn and 30,000 Marines, right? So yeah, Luffy and his crew, they might not be in the best of shape, and Blackbeard could sweep in for the easy Vegapunk W. That's big already. Another thing Blackbeard could be here for is Robin. Of course, we know that Robin is highly sought after since she can read the poneglyphs, but I would argue that Blackbeard doesn't exactly need Robin though. And the reason why is because he has Pudding, right? It all goes back to Pudding. Big Mom mentioned on Whole Cake Island that once Pudding awakens her third eye, that she should theoretically be able to read the poneglyphs inherently. So they don't exactly need Robin. And, you know, Blackbeard, in my opinion, isn't too much of a risk taker. He only really fights battles that he needs to fight and battles that he can more or less win. So Blackbeard fighting Luffy for Robin just doesn't make too much sense for me right now, since he does have Pudding and she could awaken at any moment. We don't exactly know how Pudding awakens her third eye, but Blackbeard being the type of guy he is and him, you know, always acquiring more knowledge, I wouldn't be surprised if he has an inkling of an idea as to how to do that. Another thing that Blackbeard could come here to Egghead Island for, though, other than Vegapunk, would be the Seraphim. We know that Blackbeard saw the Seraphim firsthand at Amazon Lily, and he was more or less shocked by how strong the Mihawk Seraphim actually was. So I wouldn't be surprised if he came here and he was like, hey, we need more military might, let's take the Seraphim. I feel like that is in the cards. But my problem with Blackbeard obtaining the Seraphim is that he doesn't have the hierarchy chip. Like, for example, let's say Blackbeard, you know, he uses Kurozu, right? He gets all the Seraphim in front of him. And then what? You know, like what's going to happen? A staring contest? Is Blackbeard just going to look at them? I don't know. Like, if Blackbeard still had Kobe, I would be like, yo, that's a banger idea. But then again, like Blackbeard, since he did kidnap Kobe at Amazon Lily, it does beg the question of why didn't Blackbeard get the Seraphim there if he really wanted them? So yeah, maybe it's not the Seraphim. Maybe it's not the Seraphim. But another good idea that I just thought of is that maybe it's the Green Blood. You know, Blackbeard, the Blackbeard Pirates, they are devil fruit hunters. They are notorious for that. We had Jesus Burgess address Rosa with the little dagger trying to take Luffy's devil fruit. We don't know how he was going to do it, but he wanted Luffy's devil fruit. So we know that they are actively hunting powerful devil fruit powers. Kind of sounded a little bit redundant there, but yes, they are hunting devil fruits. The Green Blood is a perfect way for them to acquire a whole myriad of devil fruits and inject it within themselves with little or no risk. We don't exactly know if someone can combine multiple devil fruits in a single body other than Blackbeard, but hey, if it's possible, then maybe the Green Blood can make it happen. And just in case you guys forgot what Green Blood actually is, it is the blood that is within the Seraphim that allows them to have Paramecia devil fruits. So yeah, maybe Blackbeard is after that. And like I said, if Blackbeard doesn't want to go after the Green Blood specifically, he could just get Vegapunk, right? Vegapunk is the hive mind right here. If you want some information, instead of just stealing the technology, you could honestly just kidnap Vegapunk and then extract his memories and then you're A-okay. Another fun idea that Blackbeard could pull off here is that maybe he is the guy who kills the Gorosei Saturn, right? Because Luffy doesn't exactly kill his opponents. Oda has mentioned before that Luffy does something much worse than kill people. He destroys their dreams and ideologies. And of course, in Japan, there is a stigma about heroes exactly killing people. So yeah, Luffy throughout the series canonically has never killed a single person. But we do know the Gorosei are really bad guys, and in my opinion, you know, this might be a hot take, but I feel like if anybody were to die in the series, Saint Saturn would be near the top of that list. But if Luffy's not gonna do it, then who will? Well, I think Blackbeard would be a great character to fit that role of executioner. But of course, we can't just say things like that without explaining why he would do it, right? We can't just say one character does this because I don't know. I feel like Blackbeard could have a couple of reasons to do in Saint Saturn. One would be obviously the devil fruit, right? If Saint Saturn does have some mythological or ancient Zoan devil fruit, Blackbeard as a collector of sorts would want Saint Saturn's power. So maybe that is why he goes after Saint Saturn. Other than killing Saint Saturn though, what else could Blackbeard do with this man? Well, I think Saint Saturn would make a beautiful bargaining chip for Blackbeard, because last we saw on Hachinosu, or at least the Hachinosu flashback, Blackbeard wanted to become King Blackbeard. He wanted to make Hachinosu an officially recognized nation. So there is a chance that since Kobe didn't work out because Kobe was a member of Sword, that Blackbeard instead wants to capture Saint Saturn and say, hey, I'll give you back your old man if you make me king. That could be a possibility, but then again, we do have to remember that Blackbeard does have Garp in his possession right now, so there is a chance that he's just going to use Garp for that role. Another way this could tie into King Blackbeard, though, is that maybe, you know, like I said, Blackbeard waits for the final moments when Saint Saturn is about to lose, and then Blackbeard steps in and helps the world government defeat Luffy, or at least drive Luffy away, so that they can say, hey, Blackbeard is a great guy, let's make him King Blackbeard. There is that chance as well. Blackbeard could be playing Superman at this point. Since last we saw, he wants to be in the world government's good graces. And now the last possibility with Blackbeard's appearance here and what he could be after could be Luffy, right? It could just be the straight and simple answer of Luffy. He saw Luffy's bounty poster, said, wow, that man has a weird devil fruit. Maybe I should kill him, right? There is that chance. So maybe Blackbeard swoops in at the very last minute while Luffy is out of commission or out of energy or tired, and Blackbeard tries to kill him just like Jesus Burgess did back in Dressrosa. Of course, we have the whole crew here. We have a lot of people around us, so I don't think that would turn out too well for Blackbeard, but there is that chance too, right? Blackbeard, you know, somebody that is all about the darkness, trying to snuff out Luffy the sun god, it just makes a lot of sense. My only problem with this is that I personally feel like it's too soon for them to have a confrontation like that. And I feel like Blackbeard is more one of those end tier villains. So I feel like having them clash around Egghead Island amidst this entire war would be a little bit jarring. So that right there is more or less all of my ideas and theories as to what Blackbeard could be doing here on Egghead Island. I know a lot of them conflict with each other, but that's the point, right? We're just kind of throwing darts at a wall, and if one of them sticks, that's cool. I'm not going to claim these theories as, you know, 1000% my own. I'm not bending these to the life or death. It's just ideas, right? I'm sitting around here rubbing my chin like, huh, that could happen. That could happen. That could happen. I love keeping all of the doors open and just eagerly waiting to see what Oda has in store for us. So, one thing I do like about this Blackbeard idea, you know, one last point about Marshall D. Teach actually being here is that if Blackbeard was actually here, like the main man himself, then that would mean that his main flagship is here as well. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, duh, Sai, right? Like, of course Blackbeard's going to have his ship with them, but you got to remember that Pudding is on that ship. And I think that would be absolutely huge, because we know that Sanji and Pudding had a little bit of a thing going on, right? Of course, Pudding removed the memories from Sanji about their kiss, but it still happened. Sanji still likes Pudding as a really good friend, so there is a chance that if Pudding was nearby, that Sanji would sense it, and maybe the Straw Hats get distracted by Blackbeard. Maybe instead of going to Elbaf, Sanji is like, hey guys, we need to save Pudding, right? Like, there's a lady in trouble. We have to do this first, please. And hey, Luffy being a captain and Luffy knowing Pudding would also want to help her as well. Luffy is not the type of guy, despite Luffy saying that he's not a hero, Luffy is not the type of guy that would let someone suffer and or be kidnapped. I think this could set up an unexpected twist in the near future. One thing I'm definitely looking forward to, though, is seeing Katakuri and the Big Mom Pirates again. This is gonna sound so stupid, but I don't know if you guys have, you know, perused anime One Piece Twitter, but it is a cesspool, man. It is so bad. I don't know why I have Twitter X still downloaded on my phone, but every now and then I'll hop online to see what people are talking about, especially during these long break weeks. And oh my gosh, if you follow my channel, then you know what I'm talking about. But there has been a hefty debate as to which character would win in a 1v1. Ulti from the Beast Pirates, the Tobiropo, or Katakuri, Big Mom's right-hand man, sweet commander number one, right? One of the first guys over 1 billion berries. There was a big debate as to who would win the fight, and I will admit that Ulti has some decent arguments, and it's more or less a discussion about power cliffing in One Piece, which is a problem in every series, but I feel like narratively Katakuri would win, and just the amount of Katakuri slander I've seen online in the past week or so has been just so ridiculous that I kind of want us to go after Pudding, just because obviously Katakuri and the Big Mom Pirates would be after Pudding since that's their sister, so that would lead us to meet up with them in the near future and work together to take down Blackbeard and save Pudding. And, you know, maybe then the Katakuri slander will stop, right? You know, I'm all about making fun of characters, but I feel like Katakuri is just so cool that he really doesn't deserve the slander he gets. I remember a year ago, people were like, oh, Katakuri versus King, right? Katakuri versus Marco. And then now it's like going further and further down the totem pole, like Katakuri versus Ulti. Who's next? Katakuri versus Ushimitsu Kozo? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Who's next? Who's going to be the next Katakuri killer? But yes, I do think that could be a really nice plot twist. And this could even tie in with Oda's Jump Festa message. So, I don't know how many of you guys keep up with One Piece spoilers and or culture or, you know, the Jump Festa news, but Oda every year leaves us a little message or a teaser about what's coming up next in the year of One Piece manga. And Oda said, oh, that guy's gonna fight that guy, finally! Will Luffy go to Elbaf next, or will something distract him? And I'm like, hey, you know, Luffy wants to go to Elbaf, but hey, maybe he hears about Pudding. Maybe he even hears about Garp, right? Because Garp is another reason for Luffy to go after Blackbeard. And Luffy gets distracted. Instead of saying, hey, let's go to Elbaf, he says, hey, let's go save my grandpa, let's go save my good friend Pudding, and let's beat the F out of Blackbeard. That could be a possibility. That could be the bump in Luffy's road. And low be it for me to assume, but I don't think anybody would complain if we skipped Elbaf in 2024 and went after Blackbeard instead, right? I don't think anybody's gonna be mad at that matchup, right? People in One Piece love the fights that come out of this. You know, Elbaf is gonna be a great arc. You know, lore, Usopp, the giants, you know, Shanks stuff. Oh, woo! It's gonna be great. But let me tell you, you know, I'm gonna save this for the Elbaf and Shanks discussion video I'll have come out later this week. But I don't think there's a bad guy in Elbaf, right? I don't think Luffy's gonna be over here fighting Loki or anything. I don't think that's gonna be the case. Mainly because Shanks is such a great guy, and if Elbaf is truly Shanks's home base, his territory, I don't think he would let a bad guy just roam around Elbaf. So I feel like by the time Luffy and his crew shows up to Elbaf, it's gonna be sparkling clean. There might be a couple of tournaments here or there, like, you know, the Dressrosa Coliseum, because the Giants love to fight. But outside of that, I don't think there's gonna be like a Hody Jones or a Doflamingo just chilling on Elbaf ready to kill people. So yeah, I truly don't think Elbaf is going to be a big fighting island, whereas Egghead Island is a fighting island, I would say, right? People thought that Egghead Island would be transitionary. We would come here, we would see Vegapunk, and then we'd leave. That did not end up being the case. We came here, we fought Rob Lucci, we're fighting Seraphim, and now we're fighting the world government. I think Elbaf is going to be really peaceful, despite its name of Warland. But yeah, that's just my own personal opinions there. So now, going back to what I said a while ago, I don't know how long this video is now, but a while ago, I said that I don't believe that Blackbeard, Marshall D. Teach, is actually here. Instead, I think it is just Lafitte and Katarina and Devon, because those are the only two Blackbeard pirates that we have not seen recently. Because in the past couple of days, obviously, Blackbeard, Van Augur, Jesus Burgess, Doc Q, and Stronger were all fighting Law and his crew. And then over at Hachinosu, Avala Pizaru, San Juan Wolf, Shiryu of the Rain, and Vasco Shot, sorry, I almost forgot my favorite character, Vasco Shot, and as well as Kuzan were all on that island. The only two characters from the Blackbeard Pirates that are missing from this lineup are Lafitte and Devon. So it could be just those two characters here off the coast of Egghead Island, instead of Blackbeard and his whole battalion. And I know some people are saying, but Sai, the Blackbeard ship, it's gotta be Blackbeard. But here's the thing. If you go back to Dressrosa, then you'll remember that every Blackbeard commander has their own ship that they commandeer. Just like how Whitebeard has 5 Moby Dicks, it's the same with Blackbeard. Blackbeard has like 10 different ships under his command. And also, my cat is eating my earbuds. No! Also, this is my cat, Kai, and every video, she just loves to walk up to my keyboard and chew on my earbuds, and I have to stop her. But, yes, anyways, going back to Blackbeard, I feel like this could just simply be Katarina, Devon, and Lafitte, since they are currently missing. And going back to how the Blackbeard pirates are waiting in the background to act, I do feel like these are the two characters best at that, because they are all about espionage. Lafitte can fly. He's quiet because he snuck into Marie Joie at one point. And not to mention, Katarina and Devon can actually transform into other people. These two characters are a dynamic duo when it comes to espionage. So I feel like there's a couple of things that could come out of this. You know, going back to how they show up at the very end, I do think there is a chance that they could disguise themselves as one of the Marine Vice Admirals, or they could disguise themselves as maybe one of the Straw Hats even. But it goes back to the notion of what would they want, though. And I feel like this does tie into everything I talked about Blackbeard wanting. We could have the Green Blood, we could have Vegapunk, we could even have just one of the satellites, because I know I mentioned Vegapunk earlier, but honestly, capturing York is almost as good as capturing Vegapunk, since she does have his memories more or less. So yeah, maybe they kidnap York and York gets out of this island, but she falls into Blackbeard's hands and Blackbeard has all of her information. Another way we could look at this is that if they disguise themselves as one of the Marine Vice Admirals, then maybe they can get an audience with Saint Saturn. We do know that Doberman, you know, our favorite VA out there, was able to talk to Saint Saturn one-on-one. So maybe they disguise themselves as Doberman or one of the other VAs, and they get really close to Saint Saturn when he's weakened by Luffy, and then they kidnap him too. Could be a chance, could be a chance. Or maybe, oh, this is crazy. I love this one, but I just thought of this. But maybe they actually beat Saint Saturn after, you know, Luffy does majority of the damage, and they disguise themselves as Saint Saturn. Katarina Devon will be one of the Gorosei, and, you know, Saint Saturn returns to the Holy Land, and he's like, hey guys, have you heard about Blackbeard? I think we should make him king. You know what I mean? That could be pretty crazy, right? You know, Saint Saturn of the Gorosei is just, you know, casually bringing up Blackbeard and talking about him really well. So yeah, that could be the plan here. That could be the plan here. And I think that would be the wildest one. And mainly, it would be wild if none of the Gorosei notice. I think that would be the hardest part with this. One, they would have to hide the real Saint Saturn and or kill him. And two, they would have to pretend to be Saint Saturn so well that nobody notices. If you have the top tier characters of the world, like the other 4 Gorosei members, the Holy Knights and Emu, not noticing Katarina and Devon, that would be a massive L. Oh, OMG. Wow. Like, we might have to knock them down on the tier list if that happens. So, yeah, that's my take on it. I think it would be really cool, but it would make the Gorosei look a little bit incompetent if Katarina and Devon just sneaks in there. But I do think it's a fun idea, though. That's such a fun one. So now, let's talk about the idea that I think is the most plausible route. So I've talked about all these other ideas, and I like them. I think they're fun. But this idea right here that I'm about to discuss is actually where I put the most stock. If I had to believe one of these theories today, the most, it would be this one. I think that the Blackbeard pirates that are here are Lafitte and Devon. And I actually do not believe they are going to be here on Egghead Island. I don't think they're going to touch land. They're not going to see the Straw Hats. I think they are gone. And the reason why is because I believe that they already have what they came here for. So let's go back to the chapter where we first saw the Blackbeard pirates off the coast of Egghead Island. We saw them at a very notable point in time. We saw their ship right as the researchers, the citizens of Egghead Island, were leaving. I feel like the Blackbeard pirates captured the researchers. They captured the citizens, and now they're using pudding and or probably just torturing them to get their memories of what has been going on here. They're getting all their research information out of those noggins and into Blackbeard's hands. While these researchers and citizens aren't as knowledgeable as the actual Vegapunk, we do have to remember that they live here on this island. They work on Vegapunk's creations. They knew about the ancient robot, and if you go back to the Kuma flashback, these guys are even dancing and doing the Sun God Nika dance with Kuma in the background. Yeah, they're kind of like silhouetted, but they're still doing it. So these guys aren't exactly fodder, and I feel like we could get a lot of use out of these researchers. And even if they have no knowledge, we do know that Blackbeard is a big fan of slavery, right? You know, we got to Hachinosu, and this guy had a bajillion slaves breaking out with Kobe. So yes, I feel like the researchers are a prize that Blackbeard could be after. And here's what I love most about Blackbeard capturing these researchers. I think this would be a great parallel to Ohara, where I always pronounce that horribly. I'm so sorry. I said it and I was like, oh man, that's going to be, you know, somebody's going to comment. Sai doesn't know how to pronounce words. But, you know, going back to Ohara for a minute, we saw Akainu destroy the civilians that were trying to leave. He destroyed the ship just in case researchers were on board. I feel like in this instance, since we haven't seen the researchers get sunk, even though Doberman and Saint Saturn said they were going to kill them, I feel like this would be a great parallel to that. It could show that, yes, if there was a researcher that escaped, then knowledge will leak around the world. These researchers do mean something. So I think it would be a great parallel to that, especially since, you know, obviously on Egghead Island, Ohara has been brought up a lot of times. I feel like that is the one part that would just perfectly tie this all in together. Ohara would show an example of, you know, straight up killing civilians, whereas Egghead Island could show what would happen if they actually lived and the benefits that Blackbeard could reap from that outcome. But yes, that is all I have today, you guys. Thank you so much for listening to my ramblings. You guys have really shown a lot of support for these discussion videos. And I've kind of mentioned it before, but these types of videos are originally what I started this channel with. I just kind of love talking, you know, I'm fluent in Japanese, as some people would say. But thank you so much for joining me on this little adventure. Tell me what ideas you guys like the most out of this. Were there any new ideas I brought up that you haven't thought of before? Or maybe there's an idea that you have out there that I haven't thought of or I haven't said here. And if it's pretty cool, we'll talk about it next time too. Yeah, but thank you so much for being here. Shout out to the Patreon members, channel members here on the side. You guys are the freaking best. And also shout outs to the sponsor of this video. You guys help me keep the lights on. I mean, hey, you know, YouTube, if you've read my community post as to what happened to the member only videos, you know, I go into detail there, but thanks to you guys watching these discussion videos and also thanks to the sponsors, it is able to keep this channel afloat more or less, right? But yeah, thank you guys so much for being here, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Sai, signing out.